Hello. Hey, chat. How you guys doing? What's up, Wing Chun? Yes. Happy Labor Day, guys. What's up, Greek Yogurt? Hey, Christian. Peepzilla, nice of you to join. Janice Joplin, how's it going? Love your music. Bigfoot. How's it going, Bigfoot? Hey, Dan, nice of you to join. Hey, Losh. Glad you could join. Nikki. How's it going, Nikki? PY, it's me. I don't know what that means. How you guys doing? So hot, guys. It's about 1,000 degrees outside right now. It's 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. Luckily, inside it's 87 degrees inside the house. Thank God for insulation. Casey. How's it going, Casey? Janis Joplin has best songs. Do I know any? Yeah, I don't. I know Janis Joplin is a famous singer. Sorry, my weather sucks. Where do you live? How's your weather? Do I have central air? I have central heating. I don't have central AC. Yeah. So if it gets too hot, then I turn on my wall-mounted AC in my room and just lie in there. Okay. Did you guys see this article? Oh my god. Remember we talked about AI art taking over? Okay. Check this out. It's begun. It's begun. An AI-generated artwork won first place at a state fair fine arts competition. So this guy, Jason Allen, created this piece of art called, all right, let me remember my French, called Théâtre d'Opéra Spatial. It took first place in the digital category. All right, to be honest, it looks pretty good. It looks really good. It's like, yeah, it's like some opera house. And there's like a sci-fi feel to it. I don't know what this is. Like a window to a sun or whatever. I don't know. It looks so good, though. Piet me. Thanks so much. Is there a video about memes in Japan's history? Memes? Not so sure. Maybe I'll look it up. It's 107 there? Where do you live? Aunt Mangoes. Jesus Christ. Nice French pronunciation. You didn't understand anything. Thanks. Unless he created the AI program, it's not really his art. Yeah, okay. I don't think he should be able to enter into an art competition. So he said, it seems kind of weird that you're able to do this, right? That they allowed it. I don't know if the competition runners, the owners, if they knew that it was an AI piece, or if they thought he drew it himself. So according to him, he responded. Hold on. He said, I knew this would be controversial. How interesting it is, oh, wait. Oh, so he says, I've been exploring a special prompt. The prompt is that text prompt that you enter in as input into the AI so that it uses that prompt to draw. So he said, I have been exploring a special prompt that I will be publishing at a later date. I have created hundreds of images using it, and after many weeks of fine-tuning and curating my gens, I chose my top 3. I had them printed on canvas. Oh, he printed it on canvas. Wait. No, but it was a digital art competition. So he says he spent a lot of time. He created like hundreds of images and then Yeah, only at the end did he choose the one that he entered. I don't know, guys. I don't think that's a I don't think that's a really good response. Yeah, especially in a art competition. Like you're supposed to draw your art. Yeah. So could there be video about Cyberpunk Universe Japan in the future? Because these what ifs are quite interesting to think about. You want a video about the Cyberpunk Universe Japan? Maybe? I'll think about it, okay? Yeah, I don't know. Probably what's going to happen in the future, if they allow this, is they're going to have a separate category for AI generated art. And you can do that there. Okay, you can come up with your prompts. You can curate your hundreds of images and do that there. I don't think they should be able to enter into like into the same category as actual artists. But anyways, yeah. Well, it's happening, guys. It's happening. AI art is here to stay. Oh, you're in the Mojave Desert. Oh, no wonder. It's 107. Actually, can you really call this guy an artist? I'm not sure. He didn't draw it. Anyways. All right. Oh, announcement. No stream next week. Sad face. I'm sorry. No stream next week. I'll be on vacation. Okay. Stream will start again the week afterwards. Same time, same day, Mondays. It's raining there where you are? So nice. Must be nice. All right, before we start, I have this today. Ooh. Not sure what it is, but it's in the shape of cherry blossom petals. We shall see. Okay. Okay. It's a little moist. A little moist. Hmm. Hmm. It's like a soft little cookie. I love it. Oh, it's pretty good actually. Mm. Has a little bit of a nutty taste. And okay sweetness. Not too sweet. Pretty good. Nutty, sweet taste. It's like a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Oh, too bad there's so little. What the fuck? There's no more. I just ate 2 and I'm done. I want to eat more. Okay. I think our box 2 box is almost out, guys. I think I have one more snack left and it's over. It's done. I need to find other snacks. It's moist and nutty. True. All right. That's right. Time to conquer Africa. All right. All right, before we start, let's do this quick. Whew. Geography quiz. Okay, what did we get last time? Did we manage to get over 50%? Ah, We're gonna be on Africa forever. I can't do it. All right, Nigeria is one of these, right? I think it's here. Okay, okay. Ethiopia, okay. Ghana is one of these. Oh! It's 3 for 3. I think we're done. Finished. 48%. We got 48% last time? Okay. Well, it's at 100% now. I think I should stop. I think we're done. Guinea. Ah. This one starts with a B. One of these. This is Ivory Coast, right? Oof. Oh, so close. Malawi. Okay. Benin. Oh, so good. Madagascar, Burundi. Okay, I don't know what that is. Started off so great. Burundi. Oh. Uganda. Oof. Rwanda. Rwanda. Niger. Okay, Niger's here. Namibia. Here. No, here. Oh. Zimbabwe is somewhere. Angola? Wait, where is that? Oh, God. Equatorial Guinea. Angola. Oh, the big one. Cameroon. Sierra Leone. Gambia. Oh, Gambia. Mozambique. Okay. Djibouti, I think it's this one. Yeah. Algeria is this one. Republic. Congo. South Africa. Kenya is, ooh, this is Sudan, right? This must be Kenya. Nice. Tunisia. Here. Burkina Faso is, oh, it's one of these. Or these. Mali is this one. Mauritania. I don't know what that is. Don't rush. Mauritania is. It can't be one of these again. Must be somewhere here. Oh, fuck. Togo. Togo. Togo? An island? Tanzania. We're failing. It's all over, guys. It's all over. Chad is this one, right? Libya is here. Morocco is here. Lesotho is here. Ah, fuck. Is it here? Equatorial Guinea. Gabon. South Sudan. Western Sahara. Egypt. Okay. Oh, okay. On a roll. Mauritius. Zambia. Mauritius. Ivory Coast is here. Liberia. Botswana. Liberia. Cape Verde. Seychelles is here. Two Island. Somalia. Eswatini. Where's that? Oh. Central Sudan, Comoros, Botswana, Zambia, Senegal. Ah, shit. Which one was Sierra Leone? Eritrea. All right. 54. There you go. Making progress. Making progress. 48 to 54. Okay. Ah, it's so hard. Africa. Why? Why is it so hard? Did I swear twice? Oh, you should see me playing games. A lot of swearing. A lot more swearing than that. All right, 54. That's like a, what is that? That's like an F? Not bad. Not bad. All right. We'll be at 100% by Christmas. Yeah, I don't even know if that's true. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Nikki, not so sure. That might be cutting it close. All right. So what happened last week? All right, last week in our story, our hero Xiaofeng, he accidentally kills Aju. Okay, and when you kill someone, they die. So he's super sad, and he digs up two graves, and he plans to put her in one and himself in the other. Right, he wants to die, because he just killed his lover. So, but then he goes to the house of Ron Xingju by the lake, and he sees this poem that was written by Duan Zhengchun. Duan Zhengchun had written it for his lover, Ron Xingju. And Xiaofeng looks at it and he realizes that the handwriting doesn't match. The handwriting of Duan Zhengchun doesn't match the handwriting of the leader of that expedition that killed his father or his parents way back in the day. So he realizes that Duan Zhengchun is not that leader of that expedition, and that Madame Ma from the Beggars Clan had lied to him. Okay, so she told him this guy was the leader, but then it turns out that their handwritings don't match. So he's like, it's kind of weird. Why would Madame Ma lie about that? And then another lover of Duan Zhengchun arrives, Qin Hongmian, with her daughter Mu Wanqing, and they all end up one way or another. They all end up on the trail of Duan Zhengchun, okay, but separately. So they're following him, and they arrive. So as they're following him, they realize that they arrive at the house of Madame Ma of the Beggars Clan. Okay, so the mother-daughter pair of Ran Xingju and Azi, they're looking through one window into the house, and Qin Hongmian and her daughter was looking through another. And Xiao Feng is also looking inside, and they see inside two people drinking wine, looking very like lovey-dovey with each other. And it was Duan Zhengchun and Madame Ma. They're drinking wine together. They look like they're lovers. Okay, and that's where we stopped. All right, how's that? Dum, 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 dum. Let's see what happens. And why did Madame Ma want to kill Duan Zhengchun if he's her lover? Wait, one sec. Okay. All right. Chapter 24. Past alliance in the illuminated side of the lady's black hair. What does that mean? If Xiao Feng wasn't personally witnessing the scene at this moment, he would certainly dismiss it as a ridiculous lie if anyone told him about it. After his first time seeing Madame Ma outside Wuxia in the apricot forest, he met her twice more and always felt that she was cold as ice and frost. She appeared severe and not to be offended, and even her smile was never to be seen. But who would have expected that she would actually become like this? Even more strange was that she had framed Duan Zhengchun with her words, so there must certainly be great enmity and hatred between them. But judging from the atmosphere in the small room, with intoxication and fragrance, delicate passion, the two of them glancing at each other, and a gentle and secret love, how could there be any hatred? On the table, a large flower vase was filled with red plum blossoms, and a great fire was roaring on the heat table brick bed. The buttons at Madame Ma's neck came loose and exposed the snow-white back of her neck, and also the edge of her red satin chest garment. Yet the two lit candles by the bed were white, and the red firelight shone on her rosy cheeks. There was wind and snow outside the room, but indoors it was as warm as spring. He heard Duan Zhengchun say, "Come, drink a cup with me. Let's drink enough to become a couple." Madame Ma snorted and said in a bored voice, "What couple? I'm alone in this cold and desolate place, thinking and hoping day and night, always remembering you, my enemy. But you cast me aside to the back of your mind. When did you ever think of visiting me?" After saying this, the rims of her eyes became red. Xiao Feng thought, "She speaks almost like Qin Hongmian and Ruan Xingzhu. Could it be that she is also Duan Zhengchun's former lover?" No shit, Xiao Feng. Duan Zhengchun said in a low and soft voice, "When I was in Dali, was there ever a day when I didn't think of you, little Kang? I wished to grow wings and fly here, hold you in my embrace, and pity you as well. And pity you well. That day when I heard the news that you married oh no. That day when I heard the news that you married Deputy Chief Ma, I didn't eat anything for 3 days and nights. Since you had a home, if I came to visit you again, I would inevitably tire you. Deputy Chief Ma was a great hero of great status in the Beggars clan, so if I did this and that with you again, it would be doing him a great wrong. Wouldn't that make me a despicable little man?" Madame Ma said, "Who wanted you to offer politeness to me? I was only thinking of you, wondering if you were healthy and happy, if all your matters were going smoothly. As long as you were well, I would be happy, and life would be meaningful. You were far away in Dali, so probing for news about you was so difficult. My body was in Xinjiang, but when was this heart of mine ever not by your side?" Oh, she's very much in love. Her voice became lower and lower, and Xiao Feng felt that amidst the intimacy there was bitterness, softness, and lingering emotions revolving endlessly. Hearing it really took away one's breath, seized one's spirit, and faded one's soul. Yet her words seemed pure and natural, and didn't have any intentional vixen charm. In his life, he had indeed met many people, but he hadn't expected that in the world there was actually such a splendidly charming woman. Although Xiao Feng was astonished, his face involuntarily reddened. He had previously met two of Duan Zhengchun's other lovers. Qin Hongmian was bright and straightforward. Ruan Xingzhu was smart and beautiful. And this Madame Ma was extremely gentle and intimate, yet another type. He has all kinds of types. He doesn't discriminate. Duan Zhengchun smiled, held out his hand to pull her over, and embraced her. Madame Ma let out an "oh" sound half willing and half unwillingly, and slightly resisted by shoving with her hands. Xiao Feng wrinkled his brows, unwilling to watch their shameful performance. Suddenly, he heard people beside him treading forcefully on the accumulated snow underfoot, producing a rubbing sound. He thought to himself, "This isn't good. These two have overturned the vinegar jug and will..." What? Vinegar means jealousy. "And will spoil my important matters." Oh yeah, his two other lovers are here. His figure, like the wind, he drifted behind Qin Hongmian and the others, and one by one sealed the acupoints on the backs of the four. These four didn't know who had done it, and were already unable to move a single step. This time, Xiao Feng sealed their mute acupoint, which caused them to be unable to speak. Qin Hongmian and Ran Xingju heard their lover and the woman beside him sharing words of love. Their fury was like fire, their envy like the tide, but they collapsed on the snowy ground, the two of them suffering torment. Xiao Feng continued to watch through the slit in the window, and saw that Madame Ma was already sitting beside Duan Zhengchun, her head leaning against his shoulder. Her body seemed as if it had only a few bones. She had trouble supporting herself, and a mass of long black hair draped down, covering half of Duan Zhengchun's face. Her eyes opened and closed a little, only exposing slits, and she said, "The head of my household was harmed by someone. You should have heard the rumors, but did you not dare come visit me? The head of my household is already dead, so you don't need to continue avoiding the suspicions." Her voice was both reproachful and coquettish. Duan Zhengchun smiled and said, "Didn't I come already? Once I received the news, I immediately left on the same night, traveling day and night. My horse's hooves pounded incessantly as I rushed over from Dali, afraid that I would be late." Coquettish definition? Coquettish is like flirtatiously. Like flirtatious. Coquettish. Yeah, flirtatious. Behaving in such a way as to suggest a playful sexual attraction. A coquettish or coquettish?
Coquettish.
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 Madame Ma asked, "Afraid of what?" Duan Zhengchun smiled and said, "Afraid that you wouldn't be able to endure the loneliness and would marry someone again. Wouldn't I have rushed here for nothing? You caused me 10 years of yearning." Such a sweet talker. Madame Ma spit and said, "Peh, you don't even know how to say proper words, and set me up as someone who is unable to endure loneliness and marries again. When did you ever think of me? What 10 years of yearning? Are you not afraid of your tongue rotting?" Duan Zhengchun held out his arms, embraced her even tighter, and said, "If I didn't yearn for you, then why would I rush over from Dali?" Madame Ma smiled and said, "Fine, I'll take it that you missed me. Duan Lang, how are you going to arrange for me in the future?" She held out her arms and wrapped them around Duan Zhengchun's neck, placed her cheek on his face, and continuously rubbed softly, her beautiful hair constantly trembling like water ripples. Duan Zhengchun said, "At present we have wine. At present we'll get drunk. Why mention future matters? Come, let me carry you. After being separated for 10 years, have you gotten lighter or heavier?" He picked up Madame Ma. Madame Ma asked, "Then you're still unwilling to bring me to Dali?" Duan Zhengchun's brows creased slightly. He said, "What's so good about Dali? It's hot and humid, and malaria is in the air. If you go, you won't be used to the climate, and will get sick." Madame Ma sighed softly and said in a low voice, "You're only coaxing me with empty happiness." Duan Zhengchun smiled and said, "How is it empty happiness? I'll immediately give you true happiness." Madame Ma struggled slightly and dropped down. She poured a cup of wine and said, "Duan Lang, drink another cup." Duan Zhengchun said, "I won't drink any more. I've had enough wine." Madame Ma's left hand reached over and caressed his face. She said, "No, I won't let you off easily. I want you to get dazedly drunk." Duan Zhengchun smiled and said, What's so good about being dazedly drunk? He took the cup and finished it in one gulp. Xiaofeng was impatient from listening to their flirtatious talk. When he saw Duan Zhengchun drinking, his wine addiction couldn't help but flare up, and he lightly swallowed his saliva. He saw Duan Zhengchun yawning a few times and looking considerably tired. Madame Ma smiled enchantingly and said, Duan Lang, let me tell you a story, all right? Xiaofeng's spirits were roused, and he thought, she's going to tell a story. Maybe some clues can be found. But Duan Zhengchun said, but there's no hurry to talk. Come, I'll take off your clothes, and you can softly tell me by the pillow. Madame Ma... He's like, stop talking, Jesus. Madame Ma gave him a cold stare and said, think of it, Duan Lang. When I was young, my family was very poor. I wanted new clothes, but Daddy couldn't afford them. All day long I would think, if I could be like neighbor sister Jiang, who got flowery clothes and shoes at New Year's, then I would be happy. Duan Zhengchun said, when you were young, you must have definitely been rather pretty. Such a cute little girl, even if you wore ragged clothing. You would be very beautiful. Madame Ma said, no, I only loved to wear flowery clothes. Duan Zhengchun said, you're wearing snow-white mourning clothes and look even smarter. What's so good about flowery clothes? You grew up in luxury and naturally wouldn't understand the suffering of children from poor families. At that time, even if I had a pair of new shoes, I would be exceedingly happy. When I was 7, my daddy told me that on the 12th month, he would sell our 3 lambs and 14 chickens in town for the new year, and then cut a piece of flowery cloth and sew a set of new clothes for me. Starting from the 8th month, when my daddy told me these words, I looked forward to it, and carefully fed the chickens and tended the sheep. When Xiaofeng heard the words tended the sheep, his eyes brimmed with hot tears. Because he was supposed to do that with Aju. Madame Ma continued, with great difficulty I waited until the 12th month, and every day I would urge Daddy to sell the sheep and chickens. Daddy always said, don't be so impatient. Near the end of the year, the chickens and sheep will sell for the best price. Is the VOD going to be uploaded? Yep, it is. But it'll be kind of hard to find. You have to go to the homepage and scroll all the way down. But the playlist is in the description if you want. After a few days, it snowed heavily for several days and nights. That evening, with a kwa-la-la sound, the sheep pen collapsed due to the snow. Fortunately, the sheep weren't crushed to death. Daddy moved the sheep to one side and said that now the sheep needed to be sold earlier. Unexpectedly, it was in the middle of that night when the sheep cried out and the wolves howled noisily. Daddy said, this isn't good. There are wolves. He carried a spear and went out to drive the wolves away, but the 3 sheep were being dragged by the hungry wolves, and most of the chickens had been eaten by the wolves. Daddy shouted loudly, drove away the wolves, and wanted to get the sheep back. Right away, he chased them into the mountains, and I was extremely worried, not knowing if Daddy could get the sheep back. She's not worried about her daddy. She's worried about if he could get the sheep back. After I waited for a long time, Daddy returned, limping. He said that he slipped on the snow on the mountain cliff and injured his leg. The spear fell below the cliff, so naturally he could not get the sheep back. I was so disappointed and sat down in the snow, crying loudly. Every day I tended the sheep well, just because I wanted to wear flowery clothes. But in the end, all my hopes and efforts came to nothing. I cried and shouted, Daddy, go get the sheep back. I want to wear new clothes. I want to wear new clothes. Bells for the chicken? Okay, why not? Bells for the sheep too. That bell included the chickens and the sheep. Xiaofeng's heart sunk after hearing this. This woman is inherently cold. Her daddy was injured, but she didn't care for her daddy's injury and only thought of her flowery clothes. Besides, chasing after hungry wolves on a snowy night is dangerous. Although she was young at that time, it was still wrong of her. He heard her continue. My daddy said, little girl, let's raise sheep again one of these days, and when we sell them next year, I will definitely buy you flowery clothes. I only cried loudly and didn't comply. But what was the use of not complying? It was New Year's in less than half a month, and neighbor Sister Jiang wore a new coat with a yellow bottom and red flowers, and trousers with green chrysanthemums. When I saw them, I became sentimental, and was so angry that I refused to eat. Daddy constantly coaxed me, but I paid no attention to him. Duan Zhengchun smiled and said, if I had known at that time, I would have definitely given you 20 sets of new clothes. He stretched, and the candle flame flickered and shone on his face, full of helpless intoxication and lust. Madame Ma said, if I had 20 sets, then I would not want them so badly. That night, on New Year's Eve, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. So I quietly got up and made my way to neighbor Uncle Jiang's home. The adults were staying up late on the New Year and hadn't gone to bed yet. The candle burned brightly, and I saw Sister Jiang asleep on her bed. Her new clothes and trousers were draped over her and seemed even more pretty under the red candle flame. I stared blankly for a long time before I quietly entered the room and picked up her new set of clothes and trousers. Duan Zhengchun said, stealing new clothes? I only knew that our little Kang stole men, but it looks like she also stole clothes. Madame Ma's starry eyes shone, and smiling sweetly, she said, I didn't steal the new clothes and trousers. I picked up the scissors in the needlework basket on the table and cut her new clothes into pieces and her trousers into strips, never to be sewn back together. After I thoroughly cut the new clothes and trousers, my heart felt indescribably happy, even more overjoyed than if I had new clothes for myself. Damn. This woman. This is a dangerous woman. Duan Zhengchun's face had contained a smiling expression all along, but after hearing this, his face gradually changed color. Rather unhappily, he said, little Kang, don't talk about these old matters. Let's sleep. This chick has issues. She sure does. Madame Ma said, no, it's rare that I have a few days together with you. After today, I'm afraid that the two of us will never meet again, so I want to talk to you more. Duanlang, do you know why I told you this story? I want you to understand my temperament, which has been the same since childhood. No. If there is something that I think about day and night, but cannot obtain, yet someone else with good luck gets it, then no matter what, I must destroy it. When I was a child, I used stupid methods, but as I slowly grew up and became smarter, I used clever methods. Duan Zhengchun shook his head and said, don't talk anymore. If you let me hear these mood-spoiling words, I will no longer be interested, so don't blame me later. No, you don't know what kind of danger you're in. Madame Ma smiled slightly and stood up, slowly untying the white hair tie. Her long hair hung down to her waist, soft as silk. She picked up a comb made from yellow poplar wood, suddenly turned around and smiled, her expression infinitely flirtatious, and said, Duanlang, hold me. Her voice was extremely soft and intimate. Although Xiaofeng loathed and detested this woman, when he saw her glance under the candlelight and heard her say, hold me, his heart couldn't help but palpitate with eagerness. She cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? True. Duan Zhengchun laughed and leaned against the bed and wanted to stand up and hold her, but he had drunk too much wine and actually couldn't stand up. Smiling, he said, I only drank 6 or 7 cups of wine, yet I actually got this seriously intoxicated. Little Kang, you have the countenance of a flower and a face like the moon, causing one to be intoxicated from one glance, truly equal to the 3 caddies of strong wine. When Xiaofeng heard this, he was surprised. After only drinking 6 or 7 cups of wine, how can he be drunk? Duan Zhengchun's internal energy is powerful, so even if he has no liquor tolerance at all, it still doesn't make sense. Something is strange here. Wait, Losh, you think she's gonna cut off his thingamabobber? His dingaling? Okay. We'll see what happens. I hope I don't have to read that part. It's gonna be hard to read. He heard Madame Ma laugh delicately and say intimately, Duan Long, come over. I have no strength. You should quickly come and hold me. Xin Hongmian and Ran Xingju, who were lying outside the window, heard every word of Madame Ma's coquettish flirting. Their envy was like a fire attacking their hearts and exploding through their chests, but they couldn't raise their hands to cover their ears. Duan Zhengchun leaned his left hand against the bed and tried to exert strength to stand up. But as soon as his body straightened, his knees weakened, and he sat down again. He smiled and said, I don't have any strength either. How strange. When I see you, I'm like a mouse seeing a cat, and my entire body weakens. He's still flirting. Madame Ma smiled gently and said, I won't let you get away with it. You only drank a little bit, yet you pretend to be intoxicated to deceive me. Transfer your breath and use your energy. Shouldn't that be enough? Duan Zhengchun transferred his inner breath and tried to take a real breath. But how could he have expected that his elixir field, his dantian, was boundlessly empty, and he couldn't even fathom anything accurately? He took 3 breaths in succession, but unexpectedly, the profound internal energy he had cultivated for over 10 years had suddenly vanished. He didn't know when it had left his body. He started to panic, knowing that the situation was far from good. But he was experienced in the risks of Jianghu, so his face remained calm and collected. Smiling, he said, I only have the Yi-Yang finger and 6 meridians divine sword left, so I'm so intoxicated that I can only kill people, not hold people. Xiaofeng thought, although this person is greedy for beauty and lascivious, he isn't stupid. He already knows that he's trapped in a dangerous situation, but still says he can only kill people, not hold people. Actually, he knows the Yi-Yang finger, but not the 6 meridians divine sword. Clearly, he's being falsely intimidating. If he doesn't have internal energy, he also can't use his Yi-Yang finger. Madame Ma said softly, Aiyo, I'm feeling dizzy. Duanlang, could it be that you put something in the wine? Duan Zhengchun originally suspected that she had drugged the wine, but when he heard her say this, his suspicion of her immediately disappeared. He beckoned with his hand and said, Little Kang, come over. I have something to tell you. Lascivious? Where's that? Wait, where is it? Lascivious? Well, this is clearly a grammar mistake. Although this person is greedy for beauty and lasciviousness. I think it means lust. Yeah, because this guy is very lustful. Yeah, lewd, lustful, licentious. Madame Ma seemed as if she was going to take a step to walk over, but she couldn't stand up and leaned against the table. Her face like peach blossoms, she panted heavily and said charmingly, Duanlang, I can't even take a single step. You were afraid that I wouldn't do it with you, so you put an aphrodisiac in the wine, didn't you? You're so indecent. Duan Zhengxun shook his head, made a gesture with his hand, dipped a finger in the wine, and wrote on the table, We've already fallen into the enemy's venomous plan. Try hard to remain composed and calm. He said, Now my internal energy has returned. These few cups of poisoned wine can't bewilder me. Madame Ma wrote on the table, Is this true or false? Duan Zhengchun wrote, Must not show weakness. Loudly, he said. Wait, he still thinks that she didn't poison him? Oh, it's obviously her. Loudly, he said, Little Kong, what enemy do you have who uses this venomous plan to harm me? From outside the window, Xiaofeng saw his words, must not show weakness. Knowing that the situation was far from good, he thought, although Duan Zhengchun is skilled and formidable, in the end he still falls into the hands of a woman. This poison was obviously put in by Madame Ma. When he heard you say, I can only kill people, not hold people, fearing that your martial arts were strong, she pretended to be poisoned herself. When she asked if what you said was true or false, how could you be fooled so easily? Madame Ma's face showed worry, and she wrote on the table, Is it true or false that your internal energy has completely vanished? But she said, If there is a villain who wants to ruin our plans, then that's too bad. Feeling bored, he just happens to do this for amusement. You should just sit here and ignore it, and see if he has the guts to take action. Duan Zhengchun wrote, I can only hope that the effects of the medicine wears off earlier, and the enemy arrives later. He said, Right, whoever plays around with us will fail. Little Kang, do you want to see my Ling Kong pressure point hitting method? Whoa, slow down, guy, come on. Don't make me read that part too. Madame Ma smiled and said, I've never seen it before. Since your internal energy hasn't vanished, then use your Yi-Yang finger to poke a hole in the paper window, all right? Poke a hole in the paper window. Are they still flirting? Duan Zhengchun knit his brows slightly and winked to convey a hint. He thought, I have no internal energy, so how can I hit the Ling Kong pressure point? I'm intimidating the enemy, but how come you don't understand? Yet Madame Ma repeatedly urged, Hurry up! You only need to poke a small hole in the paper window to force the enemy to retreat. Otherwise, everything will be ruined, so don't let the enemy see through our plan. Duan Zhengchun trembled and thought, She has always been intelligent and clever, so why is she being deliberately acting stupid now? It's okay, happens to a lot of guys. True. Just as he was muttering to himself, Madame Ma said softly, Duanlang, you've been poisoned by the strong 10-fragrance bewitching powder. Even if your martial arts are as high as the sky, your internal energy will still completely vanish. If you can still hit the Ling Kong pressure point and use your internal energy breath to prick a small hole in the paper window, then that would be a miracle. Duan Zhengchun was alarmed and said, I've been poisoned by the strong 10-fragrance bewitching powder. How do you know? Madame Ma laughed delicately and said, When I was pouring wine for you, it seemed like I wasn't careful, and a packet of poison fell into the wine cup. As soon as I saw you, my spirit and soul were upside down, and I was bewildered. Duanlang, don't blame me. Duan Zhengchun forced a smile and said, So that's what happened. Not a problem. At this moment, his thoughts were already as clear as snow. He knew that he was already controlled by Madame Ma, so if he furiously scolded her, it would be of no avail. Thus, he could only pretend that there was no problem, and he did his utmost to remain calm. He tried to make sense of the perilous situation and thought, She's always had deep passion for me, and would definitely not harm my life. What? Didn't you hear her story, dude? It's gonna kill you. It's probably only that she wants me to promise to never return home and stay with her for a lifetime. Or she wants me to bring her back to Dali so that we can properly become husband and wife. It's a way of expressing her love for me. Although her method is excessive, it definitely has no evil intent. Sure enough, Madame Ma asked, Don Lang, are you willing for us to become husband and wife? Duan Zhengchun smiled and said, You're too formidable. Fine, I surrender. Tomorrow we'll return to Dali together, and I'll take you as the south-subduing king's side concubine. When Qin Hongmian and Ran Xingju heard this, once again their envy was like a fire attacking their hearts. Both of them thought, What's so good about this slut? You don't promise me, yet you promise her. Madame Ma sighed and said, Duan Lang, when I asked you a while earlier about how you would arrange for me in the future, you said that Dali was hot, humid, and full of malaria, and that if I went there, I would get sick. Now you're forced to promise me, but you're not really sincere. Duan Zhengchun sighed and said, Little Kang, let me tell you, I'm the younger brother of the Dali Emperor. My older brother has no sons, so after his 1,000-year reign, he will give the title of Emperor to me. In the Central Plains, I am only a man with martial arts, but when I return to Dali, I cannot do as I please. Don't you agree? Yes, but so what? There are difficulties in the first place, but you treated me thus, and naturally didn't hesitate to use poisoning methods. Naturally, I would change my mind. It isn't as if I don't want to have a good person like you by my side every day. Since I promised to take you back to Dali, I definitely won't go back on my word. Madame Ma softly let out an oh. She let out an oh sound and said, These words are reasonable. In the future, when you become emperor, can you make me empress? Oh. Duan Zhengchun hesitated and said, I already have a first wife, so empress won't do. Oh, dude, just lie. Jesus. Just lie. Why you gotta tell the truth? Madame Ma said, Yes, I'm an inauspicious widow, so how could I become an empress? Wouldn't that be a joke to the thousands upon thousands of Dali people? She picked up the comb again and slowly combed her hair. Smiling, she said, Duan Lang, when I told you that story just now, did you understand my meaning? The cold sweat on Duan Zhengchun's forehead dripped down, and he strove to suppress his fearful state of mind. But the internal energy that he had diligently cultivated for over 10 years had completely vanished to who knows where. Now he was like a drowning man, his hands desperately clawing for life, but unable to grab even a single straw. Madame Ma asked, Duan Lang, your body is very hot, isn't it? I'll wipe your sweat. She took out a silk handkerchief from her bosom, walked over to his side, and lightly wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. She said softly, Duan Lang, you need to take care of your body. After drinking, it's easy to catch a cold. So if you're unwell, wouldn't that make me more worried? When Duan Zhengchun inside and Xiaofeng outside the window heard this, both felt a fear that was difficult to describe. Duan Zhengchun forced a smile and said, That night when you were dripping with fragrant sweat, I also wiped your sweat. I've kept that handkerchief with me for over 10 years. Wow, really? Madame Ma's expression was bashful, and she said softly, Aren't you afraid of being shameful, having the nerve to bring up old affairs from over 10 years ago? Take it out for me to see. It wasn't actually true. He lies about this, but not about the other thing. It wasn't actually true that Duan Zhengchun had kept that old handkerchief with him for over 10 years, but unexpectedly it was actually in his bosom at that moment. It was easy for him to make women happy, and this set of skills was an important reason that caused every woman who had a romantic, ill-fated relationship with him to believe that the woman he truly loved was herself. Only because of all kinds of difficult to repel misfortunes in fate were they unable to forge a blissful marriage. He wanted to take out his handkerchief from his bosom to make her care for their old affection. But who would have known that his fingers could only move slightly, and everything above his palm was completely numb? The toxicity of this 10-fragrance bewitching powder was so strong that he actually had no strength to take out the handkerchief. Pho is highly recommended. True. True. I can eat pho every day and I wouldn't be tired of it. Madame Ma said, "Take it out for me to see." "Huh, you're deceiving me again." Duan Zhengchun smiled bitterly and said, "I'm so intoxicated that I can't even move my hands, so take it out for me." "As if I'll be fooled. You want to trick me into coming over so that you can use the Yi-Yang finger to kill me." Duan Zhengchun smiled and said, "Such an unparalleled and exceptional beauty like you, even if I am a vicious convict who cannot be unpardoned from 10 evils, I would still be unwilling to mark your face with even half a fingernail scratch." Madame Ma smiled and said, "Really? Duan Lang, I'm always slightly uneasy, so I must use a rope to bind your hands, and then I will use a thread of soft silk to firmly bind your heart." Duan Zhengchun said, "You've bound my heart long ago. Otherwise, how could I obediently hand over myself?" Madame Ma scoffed and said, "You were originally a good person, so it's no wonder that you caused me to get this lovesickness that can never be cured." While saying this, she pulled open a drawer beside the bed and took out a rope made from ox tendons. All right, we're going to take a break. I'll be right back. 5 minutes. And we back. All right. Duan Zhengchun is in the clutches of this Madame Ma. Let's see what's going to happen. Give her the finger until it kills her? Jesus, Nikki. You're so dirty. What the fuck? Losh has all the answers. Yeah, because so Losh chooses the songs for the breaks. So hopefully she does have the answers. We're probably all related to the Duan family. True. All right. So what happens now? She gets out a rope made from ox tendons. Duan Zhengchun was even more scared and thought, so she had actually prepared everything long ago, yet I was completely in the dark. Duan Zhengchun, today you will lose your life here, but who can you blame? Madame Ma said, "I'll bind your hands first, Duan Lang. I like you beyond words. Are you angry at me?" Duan Zhengchun knew Madame Ma's temper well. Although she was a woman, she was even more firm and persistent than ordinary men. Malicious insults wouldn't make her angry, and strenuous and earnest lament wouldn't make her change her mind. At present, there was no better option than delaying the time and looking for an opportunity to turn peril into safety and escape from the predicament. Thus he smiled and said, "As soon as I see your watery eyes, even anger as big as the sky will melt into nothing. Little Kang, come over and let me smell the jasmine flower in your hair." Over 10 years ago, because of these very words, Duan Zhengchun and Madame Ma began their ill-fated relationship. Now that their old affair was mentioned again, Madame Ma's body slanted, and fell softly onto his bosom. Her amorous feelings were unlimited, and she was extremely delicate and bashful. She held out her hand to gently caress Duan Zhengchun's cheek, and said intimately, Duan Lang, that night when I gave my body to you, I told you that if you were ever unfaithful, what would happen? Duan Zhengchun only felt that there were gold stars dancing in front of his eyes, and beads of sweat as large as soybeans oozed down from his forehead, drop by drop. Madame Ma said, Heartless man, my dear man, have you so easily forgotten the curse you gambled on? Duan Zhengchun smiled bitterly and said, I said that I would let you bite off all the flesh on my body, mouthful by mouthful. What? Originally, this vow was purely a joke, just flirtatious talk between a man and a woman when together. But as Duan Zhengchun said this, the flesh on his entire body couldn't help but tremble. Madame Ma smiled enchantingly and said, After so many years, you actually haven't forgotten the words you said to me. My Duanlang is really conscientious. Duanlang, I want to bind your hands and play a new game with you. Are you willing or not? If you're willing, I'll bind you. If you're unwilling, I won't bind you. All along, I've always obeyed you in everything, only hoping to make you happy. Oh no, what if she bites off his little Duan? Oh no. Duan Zhengchun knew that even if he said he wouldn't let her bind him, she would definitely find another grotesque method. Smiling bitterly, he said, Since you want to bind me, then bind me. For me to die under a peony flower, even becoming a ghost, will be romantic. Nothing can be happier than dying under your hands. Xiao Feng, listening outside the window, couldn't help but admire his astonishing ability to make teasing remarks in such a critical situation. He saw Madame Ma pulling his hands behind his back, using the ox tendon rope to bind them firmly, and tying 7 or 8 tight knots in succession. Even if Duan Zhengchun's internal energy wasn't damaged, he wouldn't be capable of struggling free in a short time, not to mention that now his martial arts had completely vanished. Oh, thanks, Peepzilla. I appreciate it. Thanks for the peach. Amorous definition? Oh, doesn't amorous mean like romantic? Like full of love? Showing feeling related to sexual desire? Yeah, passionate. Loving, tender, doting, in love, romantic. Oh, is it pronounced amorous? Amorous?
Amorous.
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 Oh, she has a nice voice.
Amorous.
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 Amorous. He saw Madame Ma pulling his hands behind his back, using the ox tendon rope to bind them firmly, and tying 7 or 8 tight knots in succession. Even if Duan Zhengchun's internal, I read this, didn't I? Even if Duan Zhengchun's internal energy wasn't damaged, he wouldn't be capable of struggling free in a short time, not to mention that now his martial arts had completely vanished. Madame Ma smiled delicately and said, I hate your legs the most. With one step, you left without a trace. Ah, crap. Saying this, she lightly twisted his thigh. Duan Zhengchun smiled and said, That year when we met, it was these legs that brought me over. Although these legs have greatly sinned, their contribution isn't small either. Madame Ma said, Fine, I'll bind them too. Saying this, she picked up another ox tendon rope and bound his feet. She took a pair of scissors and slowly cut open the layers of clothing on his right shoulder, revealing snow-white skin. Although Duan Zhengchun was no longer young, he took excellent care of himself. He had lived in wealth and splendor his entire life, and had profound internal energy, so the skin on his shoulder was still smooth and sturdy. Madame Ma held out her hand to gently caress his shoulder, puckered her cherry-like lips, and kissed his cheek, gradually kissing from neck to shoulder. She groaned intimately with sounds, a gentle and sweet love beyond words. Amidst this, Duan Zhengchun loudly shouted out, "Ah!" his voice piercing the quiet night. Madame Ma raised her head, her mouth filled with blood. Oh shit, she bit him! Oh, she's doing it! Oh god! Her mouth filled with blood, having already bitten off a chunk of flesh from his shoulder. Madame Ma spit out the small chunk of flesh onto the ground. And Duan Zhengchun said, Madame Ma spit out the small chunk of flesh onto the ground, smiled charmingly, and said, "Hitting is passion, scolding is love. I love you to death, so I bit you. Duan Lang, you said so yourself that if you ceased to be faithful, you would let me bite off the flesh on your body, mouthful by mouthful." Duan Zhengchun laughed and said, "Yes, little Kang, how can the words that I said before not count? Sometimes I wonder what would be the best way for me to die in the future. Dying in bed from illness seems too mediocre. Dying in the battlefield, defending the country, is of course great, but although valiant, it's not romantic. It's like everything is fine except for one small defect, and not how Duan Zhengchun usually behaves. Little Kang, the method you thought of today is formidable, and has fulfilled my dream of Duan Zhengchun losing his life to the little cherry-like mouth and pearl-like teeth of the most beautiful woman of this era. Think if Duan Zhengchun and you didn't have a romance in which our feelings were carved into our bones, then if it was a second man, even if he gave you enough jewels to fill a bed, you definitely wouldn't be willing to take a single bite of his body. Little Kang, do you agree? Qin Hongmiang and Ran Xingju had long since been scared out of their wits. They knew that Duan Zhengchun's life was coming to an end at any time, but seeing that Xiao Feng was still crouching under the window and watching what was happening but not helping, they scolded him 1,000 times in their hearts. But Xiao Feng was still trying to fathom Madame Ma's real intentions, not knowing if she seriously wanted to kill Duan Zhengchun, or if she was only trying to scare him a little, make him suffer for some romantic sins, and then forgive him so that hereafter he would always loyally stay with her. If she was doing all this as an awkward joke between lovers, and he rudely and impetuously charged into the room to rescue him, then he would lose a golden opportunity to find out the truth. Thus, he still held his breath and observed calmly. I'll let him have a few more bites, just to see the truth. Madame Ma smiled and said, "Yes, even if it's the son of heaven, or of great song, or the emperor of the Khitans, it would be easy for him to kill me, but he can forget about ordering me to take a bite of him. Duan Lang, originally I wanted to slowly bite you to death, bite you thousands of times, but I'm afraid that your subordinates will rush over to rescue you. How about this? I'll pierce this knife into your chest, only by half an inch, so it won't take your life. If someone comes to rescue you, I'll hit the knife handle, and you won't need to suffer being torn into scraps." Saying this, she took out a dazzling dagger, cut open the clothing on Duan Zhengchun's chest, and aimed the dagger point at his heart. She let go lightly and inserted the dagger into his chest, surely enough, only piercing a little. Wow, Xiao Feng let her just insert this dagger into the guy's chest. This time, Duan Zhengchun made no sound. Blood immediately flowed out of his chest. He said, "Little Kong, your 10 fingers are even whiter and softer than when you were 17. When Madame Ma pierced the dagger into Duan Zhengchun's body, Xiaofang observed her hands without blinking. If he saw her exert too much force and endanger Duan Zhengchun's life, he would immediately charge in with the palm and cause her body to quake. But he saw that she only pierced lightly, so he still did nothing. Madame Ma said, "When I was 17, I had to cook and do laundry, so naturally my hands were rougher. Over the last few years, I didn't need to do any hard labor, so my skin really became more fragile. Duanlang, where should I bite you next? I'll bite you wherever you tell me to. I always obey you." Duan Zhengchun smiled and said, "Little Kang, even after you bite me to death, I won't leave your side." "What are you up to?" "When a wife conspires to murder her husband, her dead husband's spirits will never scatter and will always linger by her side to prevent a second man from getting close to her." Duan Zhengchun originally only wanted to scare her a little with these words, to warn her not to be too malicious. Unexpectedly, after Madame Ma heard this, her complexion changed greatly, and she couldn't help but take a look behind her. Duan Zhengchun seized the chance to say, "Who's that person behind you?" Madame Ma was scared. The classic trick. Madame Ma was scared and asked, "Who's behind me? Nonsense." Oh wait, she didn't turn around. Never mind. Duan Zhengchun said, It's a man smiling at you. He's holding on to his throat as if it hurts a lot. Who's that? Wearing ragged clothes, continuously shedding tears." Madame Ma quickly turned around, saw no one, and said in a trembling voice, You're deceiving me. You're deceiving me." He's talking about her husband, Ma Dayuan. Duan Zhengchun originally spoke thoughtlessly, but when he saw her abnormally alarmed, he immediately became suspicious. He began having second thoughts and faintly felt that perhaps there was something fishy about Ma Dayuan's death. He knew that Ma Dayuan had died under the throat lock capturing technique, so he deliberately said that the person seemed as if his throat hurt a lot, was shedding tears, and wore ragged clothing. Sure enough, Madame Ma was greatly alarmed. Duan Zhengchun guessed another 30% and said, how strange. How come this man disappeared in the blink of an eye? Who is he?" Madame Ma's complexion was already extremely frightened, but at this moment she was still as calm as usual and said, "Duanlang, now that you have reached this stage today, what's the point in scaring me? You know that not cursing won't do. The two of us were once together. Now let me give you a straightforward breakup." Saying this, she took a step forward and held out her hand to push the dagger handle. Duan Zhengchun, knowing that he could no longer stall for time, stared behind her and loudly shouted, Ma Dayuan, hurry and kill your wife!" Madame Ma, upon seeing that his face showed an abnormally terrified expression, and furthermore upon hearing him shout Ma Dayuan, couldn't help but tremble all over and turned around to take a look. Duan Zhengchun exerted all of his effort to stick out his head and strike her chin. Madame Ma immediately fell down and fainted. Duan Zhengchun didn't actually use his internal energy in this strike. Although Madame Ma fainted for a moment, she woke up after a short while and leisurely stood up. Stroking her lower jaw, she smiled and said, Duanlang, you love so barbarically and struck me so painfully here. You fabricated these words to scare me, but I won't be fooled by you. With this strike, Duan Zhengchun had already exhausted all the strength that he had gathered for a long time. Inwardly, he sighed and thought, My fate is thus. What can a man say? Having second thoughts, he said, Little Kong, you'll kill me just like this? Then, when members of the Beggars clan accuse you of murdering your husband, who will come to help you? Madame Ma laughed and said, Who said I killed my husband? It's not like you're my husband. If you were really my husband, there wouldn't be enough time to pity and love you, so how would I be willing to harm you? After I kill you, I'll escape far away and won't stay here. How would I be able to deal with your Dali subjects when they come searching for you? She sighed serenely and said, Lang, I truly miss you and love you, and only hope to hold you in my bosom, kiss you, and dote on you. But only because I cannot have you, I must destroy you. This is my natural temperament, and can't be helped. Duan Zhengchun said, Yes, that day you deliberately deceived that young lady, and wanted to use Xiao Feng to kill me. Madame Ma said, Yes, Xiao Feng, that manservant, is so useless, he couldn't even kill you and let you escape. The truth comes out. Xiao Feng thought the skill of Aju's disguise as Bai Shijing was so divine that even I couldn't tell the difference. Madame Ma and Bai Shijing aren't familiar with each other, so how did she see through the scheme? Duanlang, I want to take another bite of you. Come bite me then. There's nothing I like better. There's nothing I like better. Xiao Feng, seeing that he couldn't delay any longer, extended his fist, pressed it above the clay wall behind Duan Zhengchun, and secretly applied force. The clay wall wasn't very firm in the first place, so he inserted his fist slowly and finally pierced a hole soundlessly, his palm pressing against Duan Zhengchun's back. At this moment, Madame Ma bit off another chunk of flesh from Duan Zhengchun's shoulder. Oh, fuck. I mean... Duan Zhengchun shouted out loudly, his body trembling. Suddenly, he felt that his hands were free. The ox tendon rope that bound his wrists had already been torn off by Xiao Feng's fingers. At the same time, extremely profound internal energy rushed into all of his channels. Duan Zhengchun was startled, knowing that strong assistance had arrived from outside. His breath could move at will, and the internal energy was transferred from his back to his arm, then to his finger. With a chi sound, the remarkable Yi-Yang finger was activated. Madame Ma was hit under the ribs by his finger, and shrieking, Ayo! She fell onto the bed. Xiao Feng, seeing that Duan Zhengchun had already gotten Madame Ma under control, withdrew his hand immediately. Duan Zhengchun wanted to express thanks, but suddenly the doorway curtain was lifted, and a person walked in. That person said, Little Kang, your old affection for him hasn't ceased, right? How could you not cleanly do him in after destroying his great martial arts? When Xiao Feng saw that person through the window... Oh wait, never mind. That's a man's voice, I think. When Xiao Feng saw that person through the window, he was dazed, alarmed, and angry. In this short period of time, many suspicions existed in his mind, and now all of them were unraveled. That day, when Madame Ma was in the apricot forest in Wuxia, she had taken out the folding fan that he often used, and falsely accused him of going into the Ma home to steal a letter and losing it there. Where did she obtain this folding fan? If it had been stolen by someone, it was bound to be someone extremely close to him. In that case, who was it? This great secret that he was a Khitan had been concealed for so many years. How could it have been so suddenly revealed? Aju's disguise as Bai Shijing was originally flawless, so how could Madame Ma have seen through it? So the person who had walked in was actually the Beggar Clan's law enforcement elder, Bai Shijing. Okay, so when Aju disguised as Bai Shijing, this is how Madame Ma knew that she was in disguise, right? So it seems Bai Shijing was part of it. Frightened, Madame Ma said, He hasn't lost his martial arts, and he sealed my acupoint. Bai Shijing leapt forward and grabbed Duan Zhengchun's hands. With 2 kala sounds, he twisted and broke his wrists. Duan Zhengchun had absolutely no strength to resist. The energy breath that Xiaofeng had transferred to him only lasted for a short while. As soon as Xiaofeng withdrew his hand, he became a crippled person again. After seeing Bai Shijing, Xiaofeng's thoughts bubbled forth like a tide in an instant. He didn't expect that he would have to help Duan Zhengchun again, and also didn't expect that Bai Shijing would immediately use evil methods. When he awoke from his daze, Duan Zhengchun's wrists had already been broken. He thought, this person is loose and lascivious, so letting him suffer a little more today is a good thing. On account of Aju, I will always save his life in the end. Bai Shijing said, Sir named Duan, look at how you don't use your good skills. After eating the 10 fragrant bewitching powder, you still have 30% of your martial arts left. Although Duan Zhengchun didn't know who had extended his palm to help him from outside the wall, but it was bound to be a highly skilled person. It was true that at present he had another strong enemy, but great assistance was behind him, so he didn't panic. Judging from Bai Shijing's tone, it was obvious that he didn't know that he had a helper. Thus he asked, Honored sir, are you an elder of the Beggars clan? You and I are total strangers, so why would you immediately use evil methods? Bai Shijing walked over to Madame Ma's side and massaged her waist a few times. The Duan family's Yi-Yang finger pressure point martial arts was exceedingly marvelous, so although Bai Shijing's martial arts wasn't weak, he was unable to unseal her acupoint. Frowning, he asked, How are you feeling? His tone was deeply concerned. Oh. Madame Ma said, My hands and feet are limp and painful, so I can't take a single step. Shijing, do him in, and let's leave quickly. I don't want to stay in this room any longer. Duan Zhengchun suddenly laughed loudly and said, Little Kang, how could it be that you haven't improved at all? Madame Ma smiled and said, Duan Lang, you have such a good personality that even when death is imminent, you can still laugh so happily and freely. Bai Shijing said angrily, You still call him Duan Lang? You slut! With a slap of his hand, he heavily struck her by her ear. Madame Ma's snow-white right cheek immediately became red and swollen, and it was so painful that her tears flowed. Duan Zhengchun shouted angrily, Stop! Why are you hitting her? Bai Shijing laughed coldly and said, On what basis do you have the right to care? She's mine. If I want to hit her, then I'll hit her. If I want to scold her, I'll scold her. Such a flower-like and jade-like beauty, how can you bear to hit her? Even if she's yours, you should gain her favor in a low voice and coax her to be happy. Madame Ma glared at Bai Shijing and said, Listen to how he treats me, but how do you treat me? You're not even ashamed. You little whore! See if I don't roast you. Surnamed Duan, I'm certainly not going to listen to you. You know how to gain women's favor, but how come she wants to harm you? Yeah, please, next year on this day is your anniversary of death. Saying this, he took one step forward and held out his hand to push in the dagger in his chest. And we're stopping. Halfway through. Cliffhanger. Although, yeah. Good chapter, right? Good chapter. Damn, the Madame Ma is crazy. Okay. So now we know who's behind the plot against Xiaofeng. Right? It was Madame Ma, I think. Seems like it, right? Yeah, and she has this Bai Shijing, one of the elders of the Beggars clan, in her grasp. Okay. So we still don't know who the leader of that expedition was. Okay, we still don't know because Madame Ma lied, and it's not Duan Chengchun. So we still don't know. Yeah, but at least some mysteries were solved. Oops. All right. We don't know who murdered the other people too. True. True. We don't know who murdered the other people. Yeah. So she couldn't have murdered. Maybe she had some other people in her grasp. I don't know. Everyone in this story is crazy. All right. Oh yeah. I remember. No stream next week. Okay. No stream next Monday because I'll be on vacation. But the week after that, we'll continue it again. Sorry. Cheers. Can you get a goodbye song? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. There you go. It's your goodbye song. Hi guys. Thanks for joining. All right, I'll see you in 2 weeks. All right. I love you. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.